Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to everybody who's attending Experience Agile. My name is Keith Ellis, and I'm the Chief Engagement and Growth Officer of International Institute of Business Analysis. And thank you for inviting me today to, have a conversation with everybody who's attending the conference. As many of you know, International Institute of Business Analysis, we're a very large organization. We're in 120 countries around the world. We've got over 500 corporate academic and EEP partners. And so we are the ones that are a business analysis community is so often the one that's deployed alongside successful agile implementation, particularly as we start moving up into the enterprise level. Because it's so fundamental to be able to engender the speed of change, right? That's really what the business analysis profession is so much about. And so inside our certification stack, the Certified Product Owner Analysis and the AAC certification, both of them are about agile thinking. Both of them are about helping people to really think about, if I'm taking in that role, how do we break down these projects into smaller and smaller and smaller chunks, but also execute with this mindset of agility and value. Now, when we look at what the Experience Agile group is interested in, it's not as much oriented on agile from the perspective of system development. This team I see is very much oriented on enterprise agility is another word I'm going to use for it. So enterprise agility is all about the operating model of executing in a much more business agile fashion. There's a very, very big difference between these two in terms of the scope and the way that you execute on this. And so I'm going to stop and take a small example, right? A small example. And when you think about agile practices, there are so many of these ideas that you now need to say, okay, it's now on its head, because daily value is one of the absolute essential elements of operating in an agile world. But we have to stop and say there are a few of those. There's many of those like daily value that you need to think about. But each one of them has so many implications in terms of how the business operates. So let me just kind of walk you through this one, okay? So when you look at daily value, it means that you're focusing on outcome management, not progress management in the normal way that you'd say, okay, are we 60% complete? Are we 7% complete? How are we evolving? It's about the outcome. I'm either done or not done. It's polarized, right? As a construct in agile world. But what it means is that you have a tremendous amount more granularity in the framing of a project or in the framing of something, whether it's project or non-project. You have to be able to take it down into something that can be done or not done in a shortened or smaller and smaller and smaller piece of time, so that you can say, here's a set of things that we're having assigned to this particular team to complete. Is it done? Is it not done? And so most organizations or people, they don't think like that. You can't get your head to that level of granularity that quickly. It's too difficult. And so you need a layer in the organization to be able to execute on that. And traditionally, that's a business analysis role. Now, it's played a little different level. The way you approach it is different and from a business analysis perspective, but it enables the organization to refocus not just on enterprise value, but on daily value as an operating model or a way of moving the organization forward toward a common goal. Now you have to look at the behavior that you want from the team. Daily value, what's the behavior you want from the team? Not just accomplishment, but I need them to function. To get to daily value, I need them to function as a peer of equals working together toward a common goal. And I need them to collaborate. And most of the time, to be able to get to daily value. So most of the time, you get situations where everybody on the team, you've got uneven levels of skills. So you don't have everybody with that same ability to know the business, with that same ability to collaborate, with that same ability to elicit what business needs is all about, to understand the true value of what's trying to be covered. And as much as whether it be the Scrum Master or the product owner is trying to define that, at an enterprise scale, it's too big. There's too many things there. Not only is it too big and can I not get it down to that level, but I'm into a position where who's going to pay for this? Because I'm now into, well, it could be this particular group or that particular group or somebody else that's paying for something because it's anchoring again against value, right? So I need to not only ensure that I can level set the team, make sure people get the information they need, because it's about that person being able to provide value every single day as peer. And the only way to enable them to act as peer to each other is to make sure you've got some function like a business analysis capability leveling out that skill set along the way and making sure that people have what they need. Now I'm into a position of what's environment am I creating for my team. When I look again at daily value as a thing that I must accomplish, with enterprise agility, right? I need to look at it from the perspective of what's the environment I'm creating for my team, and I anchor everything inside the box of value focus, right? Who is my customer? What is their value stream? What do they want? What is their primary motivator? Like all of this drives the desire even to come into work in the morning for that particular group, because you're fixating on value and make sure every single day I'm delivering value. But who is the honest broker of what is or is not valuable for the organization at a very detailed level, like to these kinds of levels of granularity? It's very difficult, even for the product owner, to orchestrate that, because they may or may not know at that level of granularity. So you need to have a traditional BA role in there to say, okay, what is not valuable? How do I orchestrate this to the business? How do I ensure that the business, even if the entire thing is operating in an agile mindset, how do I orchestrate understanding and analyzing what changes this makes so I can synchronize my business processes with, say, my customers' business processes? These are all complicated things. And it's not something that you're necessarily equally sharing amongst every member of the team. You're enabling the team to function as equals and peers, but you're enabling and ensuring that that environment is preserved of focusing on values, so that you have certain people saying, hey, I've got these people doing programming, and I've got these people focusing on value and ensuring that everybody on this team understands what is and is not valuable in terms of an outcome. And then I have to be able to support my individuals, right? And that's a management framework when you start getting into a very different way of orchestrating. Now, again, daily value is into a completely different servant leadership kind of role that many people are very uncomfortable with, right? Because so often at a senior level, you don't necessarily know the level of detail, right, that you need. So you have a tremendous scope of requirement to be able to respond, the tremendous scope of knowledge required of a product owner to be able to respond to the nuance. It assumes almost perfect knowledge of a business and all of the functions on the Agile team to be able to function effectively. And that creates a problem, right? So you need to level set that business input. You need to level set, how do I support that team and enable it? Because enterprise agility is about how do I pivot? How do I get those people the things that they need to be successful? That is the function of daily value. I clear the decks, I get them what they need to be successful, and so often that's business analysis capability to ensure that they know what's valuable, they know what to focus on, they know what's next, they can stack that in terms of the burn down, they can stack that in terms of the backlog of activity that they need to focus on, and they know that these elements are well articulated in terms of how they need to approach them. And then you have to look at leadership, right? Because leadership, again, completely different. Because leadership in this world is about creating safety. It's not about creating direction, it's about creating safety. How do I pull forward the best ideas? How do I pull forward and encourage the best dialogue amongst the team, the best collaboration amongst the team to get the best output, the best focus on value broadly within the organization? It's about self-containment. It's about empowerment. It's about enabling that I have that team with everything they need to produce the outcome that I'm looking for. But I also want to make sure that I've got high decision-making autonomy. So the issue in here is that I need a higher velocity of answers, right? I need a higher velocity on, hey, how does that work? Or, hey, will this be successful? Or, here's an idea that I want to try. How do I try that at a higher velocity? And so often it's that business analysis function that's working alongside the team to enable and engender that. So it's a very distinctive capability that sits in support of an entire business agility strategy. And I want to share with you just our mission as an organization: lead the global business analysis community in professional standards so every person achieves more. That is so tightly woven toward that agile mindset. Every person achieves more. That business analysis capability is there so that organizations can be more agile. Every person achieve more. Right? And so once you step past that, you start looking at organizations that have effectively implemented Agile at scale, right? And those that didn't. And so you start seeing, we did a recent study on enterprise agility. It's just rolling now, actually. And here's some quotes coming back from some very senior people out there in the industry. And so, what we're finding is that many times you're getting situations where people may have disbanded, right? Because you look at the traditional agile structure, I don't see the people that are business analysts in that role, and they forget that I need that capability to enable everything else to function well, right? I need that capability to begin executing. I need that capability to ensure that I know what to do next, right? And the more you go toward enterprise agility, the more complicated it becomes. These are two organizations here that have made that journey successful, right? Successfully. And in the case of Land O'Lakes, it's, hey, our business analysis teams are too successful. There's too much demand because we have a much more senior level, higher level person performing that, and there's only so much that person can do. We're dealing with much more abstract and much larger kinds of initiatives, much more abstract enterprise class initiatives, and I only have so much of that capability, so I need to build more. And the same thing was true at Nedbank, one of these fantastic stories of success in making this transition. And Wilna, God bless her, is basically saying, look, business analysis hasn't changed. It's the when and how. It's the support. It's still that support function to enable the organization to act with greater precision, greater agility, pulling it apart into smaller chunks more often, learn quicker, pivot faster. That's the business agility mindset that sits in behind everything in here. So you think about it, I'm just going to carry this forward into two more thoughts and then wish you well in your day. Human factors in Agile, when you think about it from a team perspective, right? You think kind of these kinds of ideas of continuous learning and improvement, shared objectives, setting those objectives, working collaboratively in teams of skilled individuals, starting from where you are with trust, courage, and honesty. Those three kind of big bullet points. What does that mean? How do you enable that? Again, it's that business analysis capability because it's about bringing that learning to the team, working through retrospective and focusing in on improvement, not just improvement from the perspective of how do we run our sprints, but improvement from the perspective of how do we broadly improve our ability to be more and more agile. Well, that's a business analysis capability typically. And what you're looking at then is the collaboration of the team and skilled individuals, because not everybody has the scope of skill that some people have. We need to shore that up with solid techniques, and you're drawing from that business analysis body of knowledge. And because of that, you're building that trust, that courage, that honesty, but it's really that focus also on value. And again, coming back into human factors, listening, being open-minded, being patient, honest, and speaking up. Much of that is driven by solid soft skills. It's driven by that ability to be objective when you're looking at a business process or change or some structure within the organization. It's driven by having a frank and honest conversation about value and having somebody who's the go-to who can be the honest broker of is this valuable or is this not valuable, and having that frank conversation so that it's safe to engage it. That capability is, again, so often linked to business analysis, being that organization that enables that tribe or chapter that's enabling that within the organization. So think about it that way. There's a tremendous amount of human factor, soft skill, that you need to encourage. And if you're too focused on true or purist, you end up breaking the organization. You break the soft skills and you end up not listening, not being open-minded about value. You end up delivering something that's not necessarily valuable at the end of the day because the organization wasn't able to listen effectively. So if you want to learn more about agile analysis and human factors, I encourage you to look at iiba.org. There's a tremendous amount of material there, different techniques that help you listen better to the organization, different techniques that help you understand better how to uncover, unpack value within the organization. And again, my name is Keith Ellis. I'm the Chief Engagement and Growth Officer here at IIBA, and I wish you all great success. Cheers.